Hey everybody, welcome to the second patron-only video of the week. This week I'm not able to get a full Banjo Quest video done because we found a house and we put an offer in on it. The sellers, however, told us that we had 2 weeks to sell our house in order for the offer to stay alive. So we are sort of all hands on deck right now trying to sell this house in 2 weeks. It is incredibly unlikely and it is incredibly difficult, but we're going to try because we really love the place we found. It's not very far away. It's right on the commuter rail, so it's going to be fine for students, easy to get to, and it's going to be a really wonderful space to raise a family. But in the meantime, things have fallen through the cracks. Luckily, I haven't had to cancel any lessons yet, which I'm still amazed about, but I have had to let Banjo Quest sort of fall by the wayside this week as I've focused on getting the house ready for all of the showings that we've had. We're kind of rushing people in here and we have a big open house scheduled for tomorrow. So please forgive me. I do apologize. It has been totally insane. The good news is, we found a house, so that's great. I hope we get it. My fingers are crossed. The second thing is our timeline has sort of been bumped up, which means hopefully we're going to be done with all this a lot sooner than we thought. Knock on wood. So anyway, that's my hope, and I will keep you guys posted as things happen. But I don't want you guys to go into the long weekend without any content, so I'm here to give you some. And I want to let you in on what I've been working on. You can see this cool setup. I've been working on singing and recording the banjo at the same time because I'm working on a special gift for you guys to sort of celebrate our 1-year anniversary together on Banjo Quest. It's a tune that I'm singing and playing, and it's based on the arrangements that we have done for Reuben's Train. Although it's not Reuben's Train, it's a related tune, but more on that in a little while. Let's talk about Reuben's Train a little bit. So we have been playing Reuben's Train in the key of G. Usually if you were to walk into a jam session anywhere in the country, it would most likely be played in A, but we dropped it to G just because we were working on a solo rendition of it, and we didn't really care about whether we could play it or not with anybody. We really just wanted to drop that tuning and get that nice, rich, low resonant G and explore what that sounds like together. Well, there is another tuning that people play Reuben in, and it is called the Reuben tuning or the Old Reuben tuning. Tommy Jarrell used to play Reuben in this tuning, and he just called it Old Time Reuben. And this tuning, let me play it for you. G sharp, E, G sharp, B, and E. And if you have Brad's book about round P clawhammer, it is on page 96, so you can go check it out. It's tabbed out really beautifully, note for note, of what Tommy played. I'll play you sort of my basic version, which is very close to what Tommy would play. And if you want tab for that, that's not quite what Brad wrote, but it's really close. It's really mirroring what Tommy is doing. Now, the interesting thing, and this is a little food for thought. This sound is very bluesy to me because we've got this interval. Very bluesy sound. So if we were to drop our origin note, the 2nd fret 3rd string note, down a half step, and still keep our 3rd fret note on the same string, we suddenly have a more major sounding Reuben. And I think it is just as pretty and just as mournful as that bluesy version. I think probably that bluesy version may be a little more gritty, and the major version is prettier. So we've got gritty, And we've got pretty. In the same tune, in the same tuning. It just goes to show you that you don't have to take anything for granted. If you're listening to something and the blues is just too much, you can always figure out a way around that to make it more beautiful and more pretty. But if you have a pretty version, you might consider, if you want something dirty, you can find these little half steps and make things pretty bluesy in that sort of vein. Brad's tab for this tune is absolutely excellent. It is note for note what Tommy played. So if you do want to learn this, I'm not going to duplicate his efforts. It's in Brad's book. You can sort of bounce around that tab. You can hear how I kind of put a little bit of a twist on it to suit it to my playing and my ears. But then try this. Try making it more major. Interestingly enough, that's what Fred Cockerham would do sometimes when he played Reuben. He would make it more major. It was less bluesy, although the recordings I've heard from him are him playing in A. So he would we can do this in A or G as well. We can make it unbluesy, make it more major, and make it prettier. And Fred would kind of play it that way. So two different players from the same area who are coming at this with different interpretations, and it's still recognizable as Reuben in both cases. I think that is really, really interesting and some food for thought for us as we make things our own. So that will be it for this week. I do hope you guys have a nice long weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and thank you for your patience. I know that this is really not something that we had planned, but I do appreciate everybody hanging in there as I go through this major life change. More soon. I will be releasing videos for you guys next week. And have a great weekend. Have a great long weekend. I will see you next time on Banjo Quest.